told Julie to be fast.
Okay.
We don't need a meeting on the 25th, by the way. We have nothing.
Got that. Okay.
Anything else, Mommy?
This meeting to order at 7:00 p.m. Lisa, would you please take roll call?
Here. Mrs. Claudia? Here. Ms. Franklin? Here. Mr. Judy?
Oh, she'll be a little late, potentially absent.
Mr. Heisen? Here. Mrs. Kelleher?
Here.
Mrs. Russ?
She's here somewhere.
Mr. Schuman? Here. Mr. Zabrowski? Here. Dr. Macri?
Here.
Ms. Ernesta? Here. Ms. Berry? Here. Mr. Pisano? Here. Mrs. Bennington? Here. Mr. Butwell? Here. Ms. Colciola? Here. Mrs. DeMauro? Here. Mrs. DeTuno? Here. Mr. Cuckold? Here. Mr. LeMay? Here. Dr. McLean? Here. Mrs. Maher Karsash? Here. Ms. Middlebrooks? Here. Ms. O'Leary? Ms. Shepherd? Here. Ms. Talmont? Here. Mrs. Weisbaum? Summer? Here. Marcel? Mia? And Brian.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to approval of our agenda. We don't have any additions or deletions, and our agenda basically consists of reapproving our budget. We have an increase that we'll talk about later, and also an executive session at the end of the meeting. Other than that, anything else you needed to change?
No.
No. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda as it is? By Lori, is there a second? Alan, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Correspondence, do you have anything for correspondence, Dr. Macri?
Actually, we received a letter, and I will just read it to you. I got an email a couple months ago from Mr. David Butler, class of 1970 from Cromwell Public Schools, and David Butler and Ruby Smalley Charitable Foundation. They live in town. They wrote to us and said they wanted to make a donation to all the schools, and they want this to be something consistent. So we talked, Mr. Butwell and I talked about, well, how could their donation reach as many students as possible with something that doesn't necessarily come from the Board of Education. And having that conversation, we talked about putting these funds into the Student Activity Fund. So we're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So he wrote back to the Director of Financial Services, my wife Ruby and I recently decided to add Cromwell Public Schools to our perpetual charitable foundation. After discussion with Chris Butwell, Director of Financial Services, we decided that the money should be divided equally among the 4 schools and deposited into the respective student activity account. The foundation will be making quarterly donations in March, June, September, and December. And then just told us about where future checks would be coming from. Our foundation was set up to support organizations our parents or grandparents founded, especially Eva L. Butler, John Henry House, and Norman Calvert Smalley, as well as Habitat for Humanity, Doctors Without Borders, and local organizations. So we will receive a $1,000 check every March, June, September, and December, and it will go directly into our student activity accounts for fun stuff for kids to do. So thank you to the Butler, and so this is just really nice. And I sent a card today, and we're going to have the students write cards to the families.
And the board would love to include a card in that as well. If you
Yeah,
want to get me
sure.
the information, that's very generous of them.
We'll forward this to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so nice. I love Nicey. I was like, what? This can't be a real email.
Nice surprise.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise.
All right. Anything else for correspondence?
That's it.
Okay. I just have one item. Not sure it's exactly correspondence, but I was reached out to by Dee Doxey from Covenant Living, and she had asked if any of us would be able to attend. She invited us to attend their 9:30 meetings I think it's every first Thursday of the month. They do follow all of our activities, and they're interested in the school system. So no one was unfortunately available to attend, but come to find out, Alicia Caduti ended up at one of the meetings, so she represented us. And one of the things that they mentioned was that they would like to re-engage with our high school. So I know you spoke with someone.
I did.
after that. So where did you go with that?
Dr. McLean is working with Mr. Cuckle, and do you want to give an update? Do you want an update?
No.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I think in the past, students used to go in and help them with
Used to.
technology and things like that,
Oh,
right?
and they used to have like their lunches before COVID. It was really
Yep.
nice.
So they want to start resurrecting all of those programs. We did talk about the technology piece and the breakfast.
Lunch program.
The lunch program. There's a new person there. Not so we've.
Is your
sent
mic
out
on? I'm
emails.
sorry. Is your mic on? So sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Just talk quietly, I guess. So there's someone new that we're partnering with there, and he basically said, "I'll get back to you when I have more information about the kids using the kitchen and things like that." And so it's in the works.
Okay, great. Be good to get that started again. And if anyone else is interested in attending, that's the first Thursday at 9:30. I know it's a tough time, but if anyone can, just let me know. All right, and from here, we'll go to public comments. Before I read the rules for public comment, is there anyone here to make a public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to celebrating our faculty and staff. And Dr. Mackey, would you like to introduce this large team here?
Love to. I will call out Ms. Tuno. We have a team of amazing teachers who make sure that all of our students feel included in everything that they do. And for those of you, and I think all of you, I don't know, Alan, did your kids go through ECS years ago? Yeah, all of you have either have kids there now or have gone through. And I don't need to tell you how dedicated the staff at ECS, you know how dedicated they are. To me, I say it all the time when I look at graduation and they're against the fence watching their kids graduate. It's pretty awesome. So Ms. Tuno is going to talk to you about a small group, even though they're all amazing, and then our students along with them.
Hi, everyone. This is one of my favorite times when we get to actually celebrate our staff and our students. So I'm going to ask the staff that came here tonight to come stand with me. Risa Cohen, Julia Carroll, Amy Carta, and Elizabeth Gaudino. So tonight for Celebration of Staff, we honor some teachers. Some that are a part of this group are not here tonight. I just would like to acknowledge them. Sarah Blundo, Rashida Edens, Peggy Lear, Cheryl Conroy, and Michelle Courier. This group of teachers created a project dedicated to supporting and serving our community of students and staff and families so that we have a safe, inclusive, trusting, and positive environment at ECS. The goal is to empower students to be their authentic selves through communication, collaboration, and the celebration of their unique backgrounds and experiences. So at ECS, we're very lucky to have this group of teachers that build relationships and multiple perspectives of ongoing learning in order to grow stronger in our school community. We're very lucky. I feel very lucky to have these teachers. They'll come to me with these ideas, and what do I always say? Go for it. All the time. Even the poster maker that they just got. One recent project that they did was called There's Only One You. What they did was they asked if they could purchase the book There's Only One You. It's by Catherine Healing and Deborah Hembrook. They read it to the students, and they created a project where each student was asked to write and draw one or two ways that they are unique. A photo of the student along with their writing piece was displayed here at Cromwell High School at the African American Showcase on February 27th. So we are going to go on to celebrate students in a second, but I would just like to acknowledge them right now for their hard work.
Thank you to the whole committee. I'm sure you all do excellent work, and thank you for tying it into Black History Month and bringing the artwork to Cromwell High School. I think that's nice.
I would love to shout out to Rashida Edens. Go ahead. It was really Rashida Edens who inspired us to do it, and it was her vision. And she had a vision to have everybody participate in it and be in the auditorium, and she made it happen. And I was proud of our students who sat there and watched the whole thing. They were so enamored by everything, and they were perfect audience. So
Aw.
it was a great night.
Good, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board on this part? Sure.
So some of these teachers have been teaching for quite a while. Some of us have college kids that they taught, and you've always worked hard to create a positive community and provide self-independence and self-confidence in these students. And this is just another remarkable way that you've done that. So congratulations. We're really proud that you're still working hard and strong even after your former kindergartners have moved on and they remember you. Thanks.
So moving on now to celebrating our students, what we'd like to do is share with you the actual product. And so we have a video.
Being unique is being like no one else like me because I wear circle glasses. No one else wears circle glasses like me. My name is Yogi. Being unique is giving my mom a hug. Hi, my name is April. Being unique is being able to dance without getting stage fright and remembering the steps without a teacher showing me or an older kid. Being unique is being your element. I'm element because I love to draw. Hi, my name is Emma. I am unique because when I practice my cheerleading, it puts a smile on people's face. My name is Grayson. Being unique is having passion for building with Legos. Hi, my name is Amy. I am unique because I am a good person when I say kind words to some people and spread joy. Hi, my name is Colton. Being unique is having a creative mind and I invent toys such as a cardboard house. My name is Lucas. I am unique because I never get hurt in my life. My name is Cameron. Being unique is being a creative writer. I can express myself through words and pictures. Good evening. My name is Yaki. I am unique because I can throw things very high.
Share the picture.
Hi, my name is Grace. Being unique is being able to do really hard math like fractions, adding, subtraction, telling time, money, multiplications, solving story problems, and measurement like feet, yards, and inches. Good evening. My name is Aurora. I am unique because whenever I go somewhere, I try to spread joy. My name is Zoe. Being unique is feeling proud because I was brave when I had to do a handstand at gymnastics. Hi, my name is Hadley. Being unique is being able to draw without is a hockey net. Good evening. My name is Helena. I am unique because I am beautiful and kind. My name is Grace. I am unique because I make shapes in the snow with my mom to make her happy. My name is Charlotte. Being unique is feeling proud because I was part of a gymnastics show. My name is Jack. Being unique is being able to do math and having a passion for building Legos. My name is Desi. Being unique is being able to not be scared of anything and to be brave so that I can go on more adventures. Hi, my name is Eliza. Being unique is when you have something that no one else has. Like me, I have a special hand and I call it my baby hand. Hi, I'm Josh. Being unique is being able to play a bunch of different sports like soccer, golf, skiing, and basketball.
Let's give them a round of applause. They're so cute. Am I the only one clapping here?
I was crying
You were crying?
when I was there.
They're so brave to go up on that stage. Oh my goodness.
So thank you for viewing that with us. Rashida Edens is right here. As previously mentioned, she plays a huge role in helping us to put all this together. Again, it was her idea. She's consistently working with our students and finding ways to engage our families in the school community. So big round of applause for Rashida.
Thank you for all that you do. Did you want to say anything or?
Good evening.
Hi.
I just came here to support ECS staff.
Don't feel
because they
pressured.
because they did a really good job. I mean, I understand that I started the Black History Month showcase, but I have to give my flowers to the ECS staff for actually doing the project with the kids in the classroom and then having the kids be on stage to actually show what they did and be proud of what they did. So my flowers go to the ECS staff because you guys deserve it. So thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the whole team.
So since Rashida's here, I was going to do this in my updates, but I don't want you to stay the whole meeting. One of my highlights, it was our Black History Month showcase, and truly, Rashida's never going to take the credit. She's just so humble and kind. We've always done a little something here in Cromwell, but since Rashida has arrived, she's just taken everything, not just Black History Month, but everything to a different level. Her relationship with students is just remarkable. Kids that we do have a hard time connecting with sometimes as educators. Rashida doesn't have that problem. And she doesn't have the problem with connecting with all of us either and the educators that she works with. So just like you heard, she gives her flowers to the team at ECS. She engaged ECS, WIS, the middle school and the high school in that evening. And it was just such a beautiful display. And the kids, the voice that the kids had, and Rashida allowed the Miss Edens allowed them to just be who they are, and they were pretty awesome. I mean, it was just so impressive. They planned the whole night, obviously under Miss Eden's care, but they were just, it was spectacular. So everybody had a huge part in this evening, but it would have definitely not happened without these amazing people. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, it's hard to get them to just stay up that late, and yet they were up on stage and they were doing their thing. And then all of the other students in the district and the adults, I think we had over 100 people definitely attend. It was really well attended, and Rashida had her dad even volunteered his time. It was just awesome. So you know where Rashida came from. Her dad's pretty awesome as well. So thank you to Miss Edens for everything you've done since you've been here. And I love working with you, and I know everyone else does too. And thank you to the entire ECS team. That was really hard to do, to have that age, the kids stay up there. And Miss Carroll, I said to Miss Carroll, do you need anything? And she goes, yes, prayers. I said, you guys are going to be fine. And they were fabulous. That was the first time they ever did. It was fantastic. It was
I was
really
going to ask if they
saw-
practiced at ECS first, no? Not in front of a crowd? No.
They were just beautiful.
And I love how they
So-
were supporting each other too. They were like helping each other, like open up their pages and everything. So cute.
Yeah.
Very
It
nice
was
job.
it was a great night. So thank you to everyone.
All right. So we'll move on to reports of liaisons.
We have to
Sorry.
celebrate somebody else.
Oh, we do?
Yes, you guys.
Oh.
It's Board of Education Month. March is Board of Education Month. So we obviously appreciate every single solitary thing that you do. I actually wrote you a letter so that I don't ramble on. Dear Cromwell Board of Education members, on behalf of the Cromwell Public Schools community, I would like to express sincere gratitude for your dedicated service during Board of Education Appreciation Month and throughout the entire year. Your commitment to the students and families of Cromwell is truly commendable. The decisions you make, the policies you enact, and the time you invest directly impact the quality of education our children receive. We recognize and appreciate the countless hours you dedicate to ensuring a bright future for the students of Cromwell Public Schools. We thank you for your leadership, your dedication, your advocacy, your service, and your good hearts. We are grateful for your hard work and dedication. Thank you for the vital role you play in shaping the lives of Cromwell students. I know you always put them first. So happy Board of Education Month. And so we have some treats. The kids made you gifts. We got you a little chocolate to get through. And then this year we got you a nice little prize that you can use. Oh, I don't have one. Of course I don't. That says Cromwell Public Schools, placing students first. So you can actually, when you use this, be proud that you're Board of Education members, because we sure are lucky and blessed to have each and every one of you on this Board of Ed. So thank you. And then we made you a fancy book. So Central Office participated as well. We gave you a report card. And then every department has their own little thing. And then, of course, we made it a competition because we all have to be better than each other, each department. And Selena can share this with you. And then some of the kids directly asked to make cards for some of you, and it was just funny. Some of the kids really liked Mr. Schumann's last name. It was really funny. So, but it was really nice, and there's cards for you guys to read and enjoy. And thank you for everything you do.
This is over the top. Thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
can't believe you did all this, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm blown away. This is so official looking, beautiful. And so slipping through it, you guys can all take a look after. We have a big card from CMS here. And we all have cards. Some of them are even, like you said, addressed. What?
Spanish Honor Society.
Okay. Wow.
Yep, Spanish Honor Society.
Thank you so
Marcel
much.
brought you donuts and muffins.
Thank you, Marcel. And we appreciate you student reps as well. We should celebrate you just along with us. So thank you to everyone. And I can't wait to look through all of these tonight. It's my favorite time of year. Not that I expect it. And I actually forgot completely. But last year I remember looking through them all after the meeting, and I had tears in my eyes. So thank you.
And our whole theme was, you are the heart of Cromwell Public Schools, and you really are the heart
We love
of
to
Cromwell.
support you all.
You do a
Thank
great
you so
job.
much. That was so much work. Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, reports of liaisons from the Town Council, Board of Finance, Cromwell Middle School Building Committee, which you have a reference in your packet. I do have one small update from our Mayor Dimitriadis, and he just wanted me to let you all know that they did approve the $1,085,000 worth of capital requests that came through us by Claudio Bazzano, and he also wanted to thank you, Claudio, for all of your hard work and collaboration. And then he also mentioned that they've been applying for state bonding for the track through Senator Lesser's office, and if we could work together to lobby a little bit and maybe get a writing campaign going, and sending it to Lesser would help get support. Senator Lesser, sorry. And I believe that is all I have for Town Council. And they meet again tomorrow night, so I'll give them an update from us at that meeting. All right, any questions? We'll move on to the report of student representatives. We'll start at the high school. Summer, would you like to begin?
I'll start with, the Spanish National Honor Society members and advisor, Miss Williams, she's amazing, would like to thank each board member of education for your volunteer time and energy in ensuring that our schools are providing quality education for our students. Thank you during National Board of Education Month, and that's what those brown bags will have, some thank you letters from us members and some international treats to enjoy.
Please let her know we thank her too, because I know she's also a member.
Oh, yes,
Right?
yeah. Mhm.
Another town, but yes.
Yeah, Weathersfield. And then just notes in general. Quarter 3 is fully in swing and students are working hard. CHS recently hosted their Black History Month showcase with the help of Spanish National Honor Society and many staff members and students. The captains of CHS sports teams took a trip to Woodside on Friday to read across America and read books for the students. The CHS drama department performed The Addams Family this Friday through Sunday, and they rocked it. Special shout out to starring performers Lori McLean, Emma Ibira, Joshua Steiga, Jillian Morgan, and Brody Young. On March 25th, CHS will be having their annual career fair, where over 50 presenters will be available to answer questions and give a glimpse into the possible career options for the after high school. And Art National Honor Society is currently having seniors vote on their senior mural that will be painted in the band hallway with options including Great Gatsby theme and a graffiti design.
Nice. And Marcel.
All winter sports have concluded. Student athlete leadership visited WIS last Friday, reading to students for Read Across America. Girls basketball end with a record of 9-13. The boys' record was 11-6. Indoor track ended up winning. Indoor track ended up winning Shorelines. Congrats to Lynn Hall for coming in first for pole vault, and Dylan Bathrick for breaking the Class S state record in the 1,000 meter. Wrestling concluded with Matt Gish taking home the Class M state record, and spring sports are starting soon, with the spring concussion meeting being this Thursday at 5.
Great. Thank you. And the middle school, Ania, would you like to start for the middle school?
Across CMS, students are working hard as the third marking period will draw to a close at the end of March, and CBA preparations wrap up. And student council sneaker donations continue to pour in. Thank you to the CMS community. We have collected and donated 3 large trash bags of shoes. The CMS Student Council will be encouraging students to promote kindness with the sale of Lucky Grams. Students may send one another a positive message for $1. Trinkets may be purchased to be delivered with a message for an additional $1. Students enjoyed celebrating a week of kindness and organized by Mrs. Humphrey and Mrs. Osterowitz. Students showed the source characteristics of respect by performing acts of kindness throughout the week, participating in a group dance event, and creating countless smiles. The yearbook club has completed the final layout for the yearbook. The students are also working on advertising to the student body. The band, jazz band, and select choir are all preparing for the fantastic festivals at Lane Compounds this May 30th.
This is close enough to me. The CMS Select Choir is deep into their preparations for their spring concert on May 21st. We are all looking forward to it. After months of hard work, our culminating event is upon us. Cromwell Middle School proudly presents Stephen Sanham and James Lepine's whimsical classic Into the Woods Jr. Don't miss the show. Friday, March 14th at 6 p.m., Saturday, March 16th at 2 and 6 p.m., and Sunday, March 16th at 2 p.m. Art clubs colorful murals continued to brighten the hallways walls of CMS under the direction of Mr. Glowa. Polar Bear Running Club continues to grow in numbers and spirit as our runners traverse frozen terrain together. The girls' volleyball team had a successful season with 22 girls playing in the short season with 6 games in just 2 weeks. The girls won all but one contest. Boys volleyball also had a great season, winning the majority of their games while giving nearly 30 students the opportunity to play and develop their skills.
All right, thank you. Any questions for our student reps? All right, thank you all for your report and for being here, and feel free to stay for as long or short as you'd like. Okay, town collaboration updates. Do you have anything in that category?
I was just going to add it to my superintendent's update.
Okay. And I just want to quickly add on to what I communicated about the town approving that amount for our projects. Obviously, that's the first step, and it still has to go to Board of Finance and ultimately referendum. So obviously, spread the word. Okay, now we'll move on to superintendent's updates.
It's literally an extension of what you just said. Okay. So I have Claudio Bazzano here, who has been working with the town, and he could give you an update if you want. The projects that we listed as a priority through the facilities committee and working with Claudio have been approved. I think there's just one project that has been put off for a year, and that's the light. Yeah, come on up, Claudio. I'm gonna want to try to remember. It's too much to remember. And you can ask him questions, but everything was approved that Claudio had on the list, except for one thing.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, we started out with 20 projects totaling about $2.8 million. Of all those projects have been approved by the town council. We took the LED of this high school. We moved that back 1 year. The total cost was estimated at over $670,000. So the fact that we have 19 other projects to deal with and do, it might have presented a little capacity problem. So it made sense, one, to move it back 1 year so that we can do all the other projects, and also to come back and do some fine tuning on the numbers. We're able to do all of WIS for about $400,000, and that included interior, exterior, and controls. So we're looking to get a little better numbers and move it down. There was some discussions concerning auditorium and auditorium light. There were some emails that went around. All I did was take last year's request and separated the stage and the auditorium. The stage upgrade LED lighting, and the entire auditorium upgrade to LED lighting, and both of those projects were moved forward. As you mentioned, the track is a big piece of that, and there's a request for a grant to subsidize that project there. The basketball court over at WIS, that was turned down last year or not funded last year. That has also been moved forward to the Board of Finance. So we're making great progress. We've got 19 projects. If all come through the Board of Finance and referendum, we have 19 projects to take care of last year, and we're actually finishing up the last project from this year. Hopefully have it done in the next month, and we'll have completed the other projects that we were funded for last year. Any questions?
We are incredibly grateful for our partnership with the town. I hope the kids are listening. You have a lot of people who care so much about you, and this hasn't always happened. So this is pretty awesome. There's 19 projects on the books to make this your school system and your town better for you that directly impacts you. So it's pretty cool. I just want you to know that sometimes you don't always think that the adults are thinking of you, but we are when we make decisions. And with these decisions, you have a lot of adults making great decisions for you. So we're just incredibly thankful for this partnership, and it's been going great. And Claudio's been handling it so nicely. So, and thank you to the mayor and
we've improved our partnership with the town and collaborating on projects. There are 3 projects out of that 19 that are actually going to be done by the town instead of us outsourcing. They have the resources and the manpower to do it. will cover the material cost to get those projects completed within that $1.8 million.
Thank you so much for all of your hard work. I know it sounds like this just happened, but it's been a long time coming this whole year. He's been working really hard on it, and all the committee members and everything. So thank you so much. This is
You're welcome.
progress like we've never seen before. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just quickly, the new middle school, we're on schedule. We met today with the moving company, so we're going to have a little bit of training of how to actually pack efficiently, and we're getting all of our materials on March 27th, and then getting our little training on March 26th so that we do everything that we're supposed to do at central office. And I know we need training on how to pack so that we do it efficiently. It's very important because it's really expensive. So the more efficient we are, the less we have to pay for it. So that'll be happening starting pretty soon. We'll be packing our boxes. The school will be closed as of June 13th. Central office will remain open for about a week or two after that. Then we immediately move on June 27th to the new building the following Monday. And power goes out on July 7th. And we don't get to go back in there ever again. And then it'll go away and we'll have our brand new building. We're working with the building committee on doing a ribbon cutting ceremony, thinking more along the lines of something small at the beginning of the year and then waiting a few weeks so that our teachers can unpack their boxes, get situated, and then have an open house for the public. So we're in the trying to figure that out. And besides that, I think everything is going really well. And the science fair was awesome. For those of you that weren't able to attend, it was just a great night. And thank you to the PTA, ECS, and WISP PTA for everything. They really do a lot to make that night successful. So it was a great evening. Executive orders. I try to update you as much as I can. Last week, I spent endless hours on reading everything that keeps coming out because it's coming out so quickly. So there's a resource through Shipman and Goodman where we get updated. So I think it's just going to be, we're going to get an order. How does this impact schools? How does this impact Connecticut schools? What is the state saying? What is the State Department of Education saying? And then how do our attorneys interpret it? And then how do we move forward? So I am doing obviously the best that I can to make sure we're in compliance and we don't lose any federal funding. As of now, some districts have been notified of loss of federal funding, and we're not there. So if there's anything that comes up, I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions? All right. Move on to presentations and reports of administration. The budget update, reference B in your packets. And for that, we'll have Mr. Butwell come on up, Director of Finance.
Hello, everyone. So our budget is we're looking good at this point in the year. As I expressed in my memo, we're watching the special education costs carefully, and that picture for us is starting to develop a little bit as we received our first excess cost check from the state, which is going to be 75% of our reimbursement. And so that really helps us understand better what that amount will be. As you know, this year's been sort of a roller coaster with the reimbursement story for special ed from the state. Earlier in the year, it was projected that our rate would only be about 60%. So we, really tried to adjust for that potential. And then you may have heard in the news within the last week or two that the governor approved the additional $40 million to support that excess cost grant. So that is going to move our percentage back up closer to where it should be into the 70s. So we're actually now projected to be back about what we budgeted for in terms of reimbursement. So that's good news. Any questions on that?
It's what percentage is that we originally projected?
The new percentage, it's around, I think, 72%, they're saying.
Okay.
Any other questions? Lori?
So when we did the budget, that was before. So were you budgeting at the higher number, hoping that we were going to get that amount, or?
For next year,
Yeah.
we budgeted at a very conservative 60% reimbursement rate for next year.
For 20, yes.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions on that? All right, and you can stay right up there for the
Alrighty.
next action item, which is the adopted Board of Education budget increase, which Mr. Butwell will go over with you, but you have in your packet.
Sure. So if you had a moment to look at reference C in your packet, you see a sheet that's called Budget Options, and it sort of overviews all of the changes that we made to our original budget plan. The last two items on that list, you might recall at your last Board of Ed meeting, you approved the budget of $40,516,219, which was a 5.81% increase over last year's budget. Since then, we've had discussion around the solar panels for the new middle school. The panels will actually not be in place by the beginning of the school year, and it's my understanding that they will have to go to referendum in order for them to be, in order for them to move forward to be installed. So the amount budgeted for electricity at the new middle school next year was just $108,563, with the anticipation that the solar panels would support that cost. However, since they're not going to be in place for the beginning of the year, we would like to increase that electricity amount for CMS by the amount of $209,887, bringing the total budgeted amount for electricity to $318,450. So that was the first change.
Can I just stop you right there for one quick
Yep.
second? So even if it passes the referendum, they're saying they wouldn't be in place in time for the opening of school?
So basically, when I spoke with Arcady, Jack Buckus, John, I specifically point blank asked that question. I said, okay, the HVAC person gave us this number. This is what is estimated for the bill to be if we did not have solar panels. And I said to him, what if we get them? And he said, the chances really of us getting them, then being installed, then actually seeing a savings, because it might not be spring until that actually happens, is going to be minimal. So he said, you should budget for the entire
Oh, of
thing.
course. And even if it didn't pass, you need to budget for it
Oh,
anyways.
yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't pass, yeah. But so I don't know how quickly they will move. I feel like we really have zero information to give you, and I don't think the building committee.
They're not sure
knows.
either.
Not-
Okay.
No. So this is the safest bet.
Okay. Sorry, you can carry
No
on.
problem at all.
It's okay.
So that increase for the electricity would bring the budget increase up to 6.36% increase. But then we took this opportunity to make another adjustment, because in between the time where the board approved the budget and this meeting, we got a more specific number from the town about what our share of the pension would be. And so our estimated amount that was in the budget was on the high side. So we were able to reduce that by $44,612. So that will reduce the budget increase to 6.25%.
Any questions?
What's the 7.63% in the blue box?
I had confusion over that too. Didn't it make you think that we approved that amount?
That's where we
Yeah, and we did the
No.
5.81.
That's where we started. That when we started the budget process, that's where we originally were. And then if you
And then going down this list.
kind of travel down this list, that's the history of our changes.
Right. So we're going from an ask 5.8 to 6.25.
That's correct. Yes.
That was you see my brain work from that 7.63. You could see my brain work all the way down to the 520. How I got there.
Steve, did you have a question
Yeah,
still?
I do. So right now, our current budget, we're projecting a surplus of roughly $1 million, right?
Well, yes and no. Special ed.
Understood.
as long as
Yeah,
it
as
makes
long
sense.
as, I mean, but there's still some balance there. So my suggestion would be that we find $165,000 worth of goods from next year's budget that we could buy with this year's money and keep the budget as proposed. Actually cut it $45,000.
comments? Anyone else have any input? So you were saying based
I
on
have a
based on
comment.
the savings, your savings from
Yeah, I'm saying there's got to be 165,000 goods we're going to purchase next year that we could purchase this year, and take it out of next year's budget, and then adjust for that savings or the hit in the solar panels
So where's the 165 coming from?
out of the $1 million surplus this year.
But isn't that only if we get reimbursed the whole amount?
I don't know what other factors are in there.
Right, we're anticipating, Chris looked for reimbursements, and we still don't know 100% about every single reimbursement.
Agreed, but
Yeah,
165 is not. I'm not saying use the whole million.
Oh, I'm sorry. We haven't seen it. Until we see it, we don't know what's going to be there. I don't know who's going to be walking in the door between now and June, and we also have to be careful with what we purchase in advance too, because we're supposed to buy what we use from one year to the next. That doesn't mean that there isn't stuff that we could purchase, especially a couple things that we talked about that we never had the money to buy. A system called Red Rover for human resources that we're going to move ahead and purchase, which requires a lot of training. So we will be making that purchase this year. Will be a huge help to bring all of our systems into one. I'm reluctant because I don't know if the Board of Finance is going to cut us again. I don't know what's going to happen. I still stand behind my recommendation is to stand behind this number, since there's so many what ifs yet. But obviously that's up to you to tell us what to do.
Any discussion from anyone else?
So I like the idea. I think it has a lot of merit. I think the thing working against it is there's so much unknown. We don't know. We could have special ed cost outplacements, and I think the problem is it's difficult to plan on how to use that money, not knowing what happens between now and June, because there are things that can pop up. But I do like the idea of taking care of it now to lower that budget for next year.
We talked about too. I put a light freeze on spending at all the schools, and today I told them to go ahead and order everything that they have not ordered. We've never been able to do that ever. Yeah.
But is that
Can I make a that's needed. We are grossly under where we should be in a lot of these classrooms. There are teachers funding things themselves. There are parents bringing things, rightfully so, but there are massive amounts of supplies that have not been available to the staff into a way that I find unacceptable. So I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. I think that that's necessary. I don't know if it's $1 million worth. I completely understand where you're coming from. My gut is to trust what you're telling us and to not take this year's surplus into consideration, especially given that we're not the final say. I think that I personally would rather ask for more and be prepared if we have to cut than cut and then put our teachers and our students in a more vulnerable position moving forward.
So just thank you. I don't know if you live in my head or not. So two things. I have frozen the budget since I've been here. So this is year 6. So I think what sometimes people forget is that you just don't unfreeze and you go without, and then you go without, and you go without. And so today when I was able to tell my administrators, this is the first time I've ever been able to say it to them, order what you had asked for, because I'm unfreezing your money. It felt pretty darn good. And then also things that we have gone without that are completely deteriorating, that we thought we were going to have to wait longer. I was able to say to Mr. Kuckel today that $5,000 for the weight room that we keep saying we had to cut him so that he couldn't improve it. And it's not necessarily, it's safe enough, but are we nowhere near state of the art? Can I just update it by just giving Mr. Kuckel an extra $5,000, which I approved today? This is what I'm trying to alleviate from the teachers who have to put in their own money from some of the stuff that is old that we had to just freeze and never move forward. So in this particular situation, it's never just, spend. It's very much calculated on what we need based on exactly what you just said, and then having to freeze over 6 years. And I believe you may have frozen before I even got here. So yes, that is why I would like to be able to leave it where it is. And I still have some unknowns. I'm being frugal with what I'm selecting. I'm looking at things that we know we need. And I'm talking to my principals. Another thing is CAF tables. We have some CAF tables that are so old and could potentially be dangerous. And they're very expensive. So can we make the commitment to buy 5 this year, because we have money that usually we can only replace 1 a year, and we shouldn't really be having to think about this in Cromwell. That's I'm here obviously to advocate for getting the best for our kids all the time, and that's what I'm asking. Yes, I'm asking you to trust me to be able to do while we have a little bit of wiggle room.
Alan.
You said you released, to go spend. How much? What number? I mean,
literally just happened. We just did it today, so we haven't even calculated exactly how much they're frozen at right now. Chris will go back and work on that starting tomorrow.
I think that has a big. And Steve's point is there's looks as there's money and there's variables. It's not all going to come to fruition, but we're talking 50,000, a couple 100,000.
Right.
I don't know what you're.
I don't even want to give you a number. I don't think, Chris, you
oh.
would feel comfortable off the cuff. No.
So what this looks like next month?
That's what I'm saying. Like you could. Well, I wouldn't. I would.
We need to get it to Board of Finance by when?
We need to start making the binders tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Can't hold.
We need to get this information, them. And another
hate to
thing.
undersell us
So
is
here's
what I'm worried
another
about.
thing, for example, that I approved with Ms. Cochiola and Mr. Particularly with Ms. Cochiola and with Mr. Kuckel. We have students who are lagging behind with their academics. We were able to. They asked. Can we have an after-school program? So we have to pay teachers to stay and obviously tutor kids. We have the late buses, so we have kids who are participating. So we looked at some more cut scores. Our students took more assessments in the winter. We went over the data at the district leadership team. I spoke to Mr. Kuckel and Ms. Cochiola, and I said, can we take a handful more of kids who may be slightly almost like needing that help, but we don't always give it to them because we don't have the money to help them and support them. And they said that would be awesome. So today I said, go ahead and try to find 10 to 15 more kids that we can offer after school support. And then we'll hire teachers to tutor them at our $45 hour and a rate. So these are like some of the things that I'm trying to do with some of the money, which we've never been able to do before.
Comments, questions? Oh, did you want to?
I just wanted to add, in response to Alan's question, if you look at the projection sheet, you can kind of get an idea of the balanced amounts that are sitting in the different object areas. And obviously our big negatives are the services, the special ed services are the numbers that we're worried about. And then you can kind of look at the other categories to see what kind of money is sitting in there.
Do you think you'll have a better picture of those expenses by the time you present to Board of Finance? Because I'm sure they'll be asking that question.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Sure.
Whether it's approved or not, I would probably, outline things that have been in the budget before that we haven't been able to do because of budget freezes, and how money's being reallocated to cover things that have been supposed to be done like the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, and a perfect example is how many millions in just fixing our buildings. I mean, that can has been kicked down the road for so many years that this is where we're ending up with millions of dollars of projects that have to be approved. Had we just done them all along, we wouldn't be there. Can you be there instructionally, academically, with resources? Yes, that can happen overnight. Yeah.
To add to that point, that $1 million is not in our budget. So if you add that into this budget, what's that increase look like? You know, we've taken that money out, we've put it on the town. Add another $1 million to this budget. What's that increase if that was still in our budget? This is a large increase for the town.
So I do have, we do have, I don't know if we brought them with us. We're actually middle, if not lower. I could send this to you, than other towns in our, not just in our DER. Did I give you access to the latest?
You sent us a link, I believe. Steve requested it, and I think it was sent out, right?
It's through CASBO. It keeps getting updated. So like East Hampton is at an 8.9. Cheshire is high up there. North Haven's at a 10 point something. Our flat line was 5.1. Our kids have gone without things for a long time. We are nowhere near the top of our ask. And I could share those numbers with you. And I'm sure Carrie could give you a list of items we're just finally purchasing after 9 years with the same math program with big holes in it. A new math program. We have said we're not going to buy the extra resources because we can't afford it. Well, maybe now we could afford to buy the resources that go along with the program. So these are things that.
Was that what this next presentation would be relying on? Funding wise?
Well,
the math one?
We
I'm
can't.
sorry.
Oh, yeah. The math presentation's on that. And we have to be careful because I can't go ahead and buy it right now because I really don't know where we are going to fall with special education. I could say no one's going to move in. I could say we're not going to need to transport. I could say we're not going to have any homelessness. We review it every single day, but I really don't know. To me, this is an opportunity to get perhaps some things that our students have gone without getting farther behind. Another thing that we talked about was getting out of that technology loan. Remember, we talked about getting out of that technology loan and then Steve's department taking a hit. And we said, can we make this work so that we don't have to pay that $80,000, which is crazy, in interest, right? Would this mean that we could stick to our regular plan and not push it off an extra year? Would that make our technology programs stronger? Yes, it would. We were thinking worst case scenario. Now we could think best case scenario. If we have this money, we don't have to fall back and then take a chance. We could just move forward as if without skipping a beat. So these are the things we talked about. It would never be, let's just, and I know you guys know this, but, let's just buy all this stuff that we don't need. It would be, what could we do so that our kids are not falling behind, so that our teachers are not spending money, so that parents are not being asked to bring in materials. Yeah, I know, no. And you shouldn't, there's certain things, I have this conversation all the time, that you shouldn't be.
Not even happening to me. I just think it's.
Yeah. Teachers, listen, my first year I spent $3,000. I'll never forget it because it was the first time I opened up a credit card, and it was so I could teach reading. And that was 32 years ago. So I know this happens often. If we could alleviate some of that and then get back on track, to me, we got, the stars aligned this year. We don't know if this is ever going to happen again. And we still don't know because we're not technically done. This is a year where I can give as many kids services and support after school. I've never been able to do that before. How awesome is that? And we just talked about that today. So
I just want to add one more thing. Sorry, Al. I didn't cut you off. If you put the $1 million back on top of this increase, it's 8.8%. So that's effectively what the school district, what the Board of Ed is asking the town. Obviously, the funding's from a different bucket, but it's all our wallets. So just so you guys know.
But the million from, yeah.
Correct. That was
Oh,
historically in our budget. If
So-
we were budgeting as we had previously, this would be an 8.8% increase.
So
We wouldn't
Steve,
have been
that would-
budgeting
we
for
would
that, though.
never put that stuff in the budget.
We would have never gotten that.
We would have never gotten it, and I would never put it in there. I wouldn't even think about putting in 1.9 million.
Either way,
list it as
either way,
something-
we're asking for
something that we would like
8.8%
that we'll never
increase
get.
from last year's budget for everything, including the school's dollars.
Yeah, because they let it go for 30-something years.
That's an argument that could have for a different day, whether we let it go or they let it go, but.
But I really want to make sure we have apples to apples conversation. None of that money that Claudio put in CNR, none, not one penny, would have ever ended up in your ask, ever. None of that. Because we couldn't even fund projects that were $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. Everything got cut. And every time we had to cut smaller projects, it always came out of facilities. So this CNR that we have now, this agreement that we've made with the town, we made this agreement because nothing was getting done and the town was falling apart. And it was never meant to be part of this budget anyway. That CNR, capital improvement, is the responsibility of the town, always has, always should be, should never be counted into the school, period, because these buildings belong to the town.
And they also don't want it in the MDR either, so
Yeah.
that would
I
increase
never-
our budget every year.
I would have had, if I ever put all these projects in from day one, you're right, Steve, I would have been coming forward with a 10, 11, 12, 15, 18% from day one. That has never been the way we budgeted since I've been here.
When we looked at moving it to this newer method, most towns around us were using it, if I
It's
can recall.
the right way to do
It's,
it.
but I understand the point that Steve is trying to make. But I think the town is trying to reallocate funds at their level to cover these capital improvement costs. So I don't know. And I also understand the point of netting to the 165 and keeping it, but we don't know where we're going to be. We never know where we're going to be. This is a tough call for us to be in this position where we have to make a decision without really having enough information in order to get everything to the Board of Finance in time. So the new middle school strikes again. So I feel like it's the increased cost from the new middle school that may or may not stick with it.
We don't, like people have, and the Board of Finance has asked, there's no way we could ever give an apples to apples, like what are the savings that we're going to have because we have a new middle school? And that we've been asked this question, and it's absolutely absurd for us to even think about how we could calculate that. We have the professionals telling us that the electricity bill is going to be $300,000. The building isn't even up yet. How the heck am I supposed to know? How do we know what the rates are? Did you expect your electricity bill to go up to $500? Mine went up to $530 this month. Did you expect that this month? Because I didn't. So I'm being asked to project the future like I'm a genie. And so I will come right out and say it is absolutely absurd for me to try to project an electricity bill for the new building when it's not even here yet. So I'm being asked to do some of these things that are. Well, I've been asked, like, how much do you think can you tell us, how much money are we saving as a town because we went ahead and built this school? Nothing. You actually said nothing. You're spending more money. You know why? Because your building was 100 years old. And if you want to stay 100 years old and be in the past, and that's where you want your kids to go to school, okay, then we'll keep it, and we'll hopefully keep it going without it falling apart. So some of these questions that I've been asked, and I might be asked, I can't answer. Well, the building isn't even up, but we haven't even gotten our first bills from any of it. So there's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of what ifs in March, period. Every March. Just a lot of what ifs in the past where I've crossed my fingers and toes and didn't buy things. No one bought things.
Matt, sorry, can I?
Of course.
I apologize for making you repeat, but can you repeat your comments from earlier that you made about the budget after Steve spoke? Do you remember what they were? Just trying to take into consideration.
Yeah, I just said that there's too many unknowns between now and June. It's a tough call. I absolutely am in favor of finding ways to save the money and use the apparent savings we have now. The problem is we're saying we expect a savings, but we can't guarantee that, and that's where I'm stuck.
When the special ed costs, I know they can arise any time, but historically, I mean, this kind of coming to the home stretch of the year, I think. Is it?
A lot of people start to move. So, for example, a lot of, because of heating issues, right? So apartments, if you're living in apartments or condos and you're moving, usually stay. That doesn't mean that everybody who lives in an apartment or condo is a student with special needs, but there's more transiency come April 1st. So we do get a little rush of kids moving in and out because people start to move more because
I've seen students come in 3 days before the end of school. You just never know.
And we're
It's crazy.
expected to pick up the cost. So I could have kids that cost, I hate putting money on students. I could have services that a student could be 50,000. I can have services that a student may need 200,000. I don't know. There's too many unknowns. We have an opportunity to maybe get ahead instead of always be behind. This is the opportunity. I just told you a few ways of how our conversations that we had today of like how am I going to help kids that are falling behind right now today, and what we're going to be doing. Talked about the weight room, talked about a few other things that I already started talking to my administrators about. You let me know if you think that the things that I just mentioned right now are out of the question and by asking for too much for Cromwell Public School students to have that while we have some extra money. I don't think that I am. But if you feel that way, I'll pull back on all of
I
it.
would just caution to say extra. We don't actually know if we have extra money.
We don't.
So I would just putting a finance hat on.
We don't.
Not market it that way.
Well, I mean, you guys could see
But
it
no,
here.
I
Like, if
understand.
I have this.
Listen, I view this as very black and white, which it's not. And Steve, I really appreciate everything that you're saying and bringing to the table and everyone's insights. I personally feel like we approved the 5.81% increase and hashed all of this out. And this is additive due to circumstances.
I would not be coming to you.
No, I understand it, and I appreciate the cost savings that you found. I'm trying to view this solely as the additive cost of the electrical solar panels and not trying to go back and pick apart the budget.
That's a good point.
That's my own personal opinion.
I agree. Matt, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, do we look at this from another point of view, just as kind of an exercise in problem solving this, where what are the possible repercussions if we don't add this money? Because we're talking about adding $209,000. If we don't, what could go wrong? What would happen then? We're gonna have an electric bill that comes that now we can't pay and we have to go to the town and ask for it?
Two things can happen. One, I could go to the town and say, we have this electric bill, or I could say, as a responsible superintendent who the Board of Education voted on a budget and you told me don't spend more than this money, I'm not going to spend more than that money. So I'm going to cut programs and resources because that's what you voted on and that's what you told me to do. And that's what I've done for the past 6 years. And I've done it really well. So, but your kids went without stuff. Our kids went without stuff.
Catherine.
So I agree with Kelly. I understand where we stand with our current situation, our current year. The electrical costs, we're estimating it at this much, but there's a lot of volatility to that going forward based on the new tariffs because we do get a lot of our electrical from Canada. So that can be getting slammed for us. So we don't know what's going to hit. And the money that is in our current budget, that the $1 million, my guess is that by the end of the year, it's going to fall under we get to keep the money and put it into a recurring fund to continue with our purchase services that we need.
Remember, we have that up to 2%, which is $800,000, which is never going to. It'll never happen.
It's going
but
to
we
come
do-
down. I mean, we've been doing this for long enough to know that. So I do understand that number's not going to sit there so pretty. So I think it's only going to get worse for us.
As soon as I release the money, we released it today. As soon as Mr. Cuckle didn't waste much time. He already had some purchase orders already started going in his sheet. They can't. It's not like we're waiting on things. Like they're waiting. He legitimately, I was like cracking up, looking in there. I'm like, here he goes. I could see it happening in the Google form. Yeah.
So I like what you mentioned, Kelly. Let's not go backwards and rehash the whole entire budget. So the ask tonight is the 6.25. So that's what we should be deciding on. And how do we feel about?
So the ask is to go from the 5.81 to the 6.25.
To 6.25. Mm-hmm.
And that will
Sir.
be the amount that is presented to
the Board of Finance.
The Board of Finance on April 6th?
Third.
4th? 3rd?
Third.
3rd. Thank you. I got my threes mixed up. I've been multiplying too much lately. Yeah, that kid was awesome.
They were awesome.
Let's put him on the
April 3rd.
Let's put him on the math curriculum committee.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Put it out and see. It's either going to pass or not.
Okay.
I just have one more comment before we vote. Last year, end of February, we were at a deficit of $371,000 and broke even for the year.
So would anyone like to make a motion for what's on the table?
I would like to just make one
Kelly?
comment before that.
Okay.
What did we have to cut to break even? What did our kids have to go without to break even?
Is that a rhetorical question?
That's just my.
Okay. So I had a motion from Kelly Cloutier. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kelly Franklin. All in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? 6.25. Yep. Okay. All right. Everyone else was a yay? Okay. Motion carries and the budget increase passes. So we are at 6.25%. We'll move it forward to the Board of Finance.
I would like to make a comment, though. I
Sure.
do appreciate all of the input and all the discussion. I think there was, I think we had a lot of good valid points here, and I absolutely appreciate Steve bringing up what you brought up, and I think it was definitely worth consideration. And I absolutely appreciate your input as well. I think it's a problem that's difficult to solve, and I'm going to trust that we made the right decision.
Thank you for your hard work. And thank you, Dr. Macri. I know this isn't easy. Okay, can we move on to the math program? So for our math program update, we have Dr. McLean and Julie Shepard. Is there Erica Ballas here too or no?
Erica is not here.
Erica's not here. Okay. And that is reference D in your packet. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Is this on? Yeah, that's on. Good evening, everybody. We wanted to present for you tonight a little bit of where we are with our program review and evaluation of our, we're hoping to, by the end of this school year, be adopting a new K-5 math program. So just to fill you in a little bit on what's led up to this.
Julie, can you speak a little bit more into it? I'm
Sure.
sorry, I know that one's really
That's
quiet.
okay. As Dr. Macri had mentioned briefly, that we have been using the same K-5 math curriculum now for just about 9 years, and that's our Bridges. Let me go back here. That's our Bridges math program. And after the last couple of years, we've been really reviewing the data across the district after the utilization of this program, and we've been analyzing the newly released state model curriculum and just analyzing the really in depth the Bridges program, and we have been finding that there are some gaps that we are having to supplement into lessons that we're supplementing into our current curriculum. And the great news about this is that teachers are actually asking for this at all levels, from grade K all the way to grade 5. Teachers are really excited about looking at new programs. They're ready to move on from the Bridges program. So we have begun this process officially this year to narrow down a few programs, and we have developed a K-5 math committee as well. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about that process tonight. You can see here on this first slide that these are the members on our K-5 math committee, so Dr. McLean and myself, and then we have representatives from each of the grade levels and both of our elementary buildings. So you can see who's represented there, as well as our math coach and K-5 math facilitator, Erica Ballas. So she's been playing a crucial role in this process as well. So really the goals of our committee this year, we're spending a lot of time with our hands right in the materials, getting online, meeting with the different publishers of these programs. We're talking to other districts that are using various programs, and we're hoping that through this it will be piloting as well, so I'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. We're trying out several of these programs in classrooms with students to get some feedback from teachers. So our goal is to really, by the end of this year, as I said, adopt a new program that supports our rigorous math instruction and that's fully aligned to our curriculum standards, and that's consistent across K-5. So here's where we are over the next 3 years. This is what our process will look like, just a little breakdown. As you can see this year, we have teachers in grades K through 5 reviewing, evaluating, and piloting the program. However, we will only roll this program out in grades 3 through 5 at WIS starting next year, whichever program that the committee decides on. The reason for that is, as you know, we've been very literacy focused with adopting a new reading program in grades K through 3, and we really feel that teachers need some more time at ECS to get to know that new material, that new curriculum, and to become comfortable with the implementation of that. So this year we will have all teachers participate in that review and evaluation process that we will roll out year 1 in grades 3 through 5 next year, and then the following year we will roll out the new math program in grades K through 2.
Can I ask a question, or do I have to wait till the
course.
end?
No.
Just
No, go ahead.
This is more just a curiosity. So the year 1 implementation will be 26, 27. Is there like a projected impact? So say students like entering 3rd grade that year, but they haven't been taught based on this curriculum. So it's being changed kind of like halfway through on them.
Well, it would be changed. So if they came in, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Like,
So
sorry. So
understand
like
your
say you
question.
have somebody under like the current curriculum now,
Yeah.
right? And so they're not starting fresh. They're like halfway through, and then and I could be making this a lot more complicated than it is. You're changing like the strategy and how you're teaching them.
Yes, it is.
Is that going to impact like the way they're learning? Do you know what I mean?
In a positive way, yes, I believe. So it is an instructional shift for teachers and for students. The learning is more problem-based with any of the programs that we're looking at, but it's still fully aligned to Common Core, to the state model curriculum, so they're going to be getting the same standards, just really presented in a different way.
Got it.
We're currently supplementing with some of the materials now.
So it's not
anyway,
gonna be,
it's
like,
not gonna
brand
be
new.
Foreign to them.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've found that because of the gaps in Bridges that we've had to supplement with some of these resources already, and teachers and students are responding very well to those lessons. So.
And you feel this program, whatever you choose, would cover what's in Bridges as well? It would completely eliminate Bridges?
Beyond what we're finding, that Bridges is not going in depth for some grade levels with some topics that we would like it to. So it would cover Bridges and more. So that's sort of like our 3-year plan. For the rest of this year, I kind of laid out for you what we've been doing as a team. We started meeting as a committee in February, and we will meet all the way through May. As I had mentioned, we are diving into those materials. We have those in our hands. We're looking through those. There's online components to all of these programs, and we're hearing from the different publishers of each of these programs. They're presenting to us. We're getting some training for some of the pilots that we are going to be implementing coming up. And then we'll be continuing just to review and evaluate as we hear from the publishers, as we try out the lessons, as we try out these units. And we're hoping to make that final program choice in May.
I had a question. For a non-educator, what's the underlying factor of, well, we had this program and it doesn't work? I mean, is it the students? What causes these shifts?
Yeah. So that's a great question. We look at a lot of different things. The first thing that we start noticing really is data, right? When our data, we're not seeing an increase in student achievement at various grade levels, then we start really diving. We've been doing a lot of curriculum writing as well over the last couple of years, taking materials like Bridges, and which is just a program, and putting that into curriculum documents, unwrapping those standards, seeing how much time is being spent on certain focus areas for each grade level. And when we start looking at the data combined with gaps in the curriculum and teacher feedback, it starts to tell us that we may need to start looking somewhere else, because our students are not achieving where we'd like them to be.
Okay, but is that because you're focusing on reading or something else, or is it the students different, or what's, I don't, you're not getting the scores. Well, why aren't you getting the scores?
That's a great question as well.
So illustrative, again, it's that problem solving. So it's not like direct algorithmic instruction in math. It's really problem based, where you've got collaborative problem solving stations, and kids are wrestling with material and trying to solve things on their own with some more independence. It's a shift in the way that we're instructing. It's a shift in the way material is presented. But on our state assessments, this is what we are seeing consistently, that problem solving is our lowest category. So that's where we need to increase our efforts.
I think this will help Alan. There's so many variables, right, in a classroom with a student and why they're learning. So many. We could give you a litany. I could give you a really great book to read, John Hattie, on what really helps and doesn't help, and what are over 25 years of methodologies of what works, what doesn't, what gets you the best results, how quickly, and all of this. But the big picture is you're looking at an individual student, right? And then you have 20 kids in a classroom, and there's all these different variables, different teacher, different materials, different data, different this, different families, different demographics, all of this put together. So I think the most important thing that we look at when we're looking at programs, and Carrie explains this beautifully, and I'm going to let her do it instead of doing it because I love doing it, but I'm going to let her do it because it's her job. Carrie, can you talk a little bit about Tier 1?
So that's where we start. Tier 1 instruction is for every student, and it's usually, what we try to do is give them as much grade level content as possible. Tier 2 is for our students that are struggling a little bit and need a little bit of extra support. Tier 3 are for our kids that really need some intervention and some extra time with our teachers. So we really have to strengthen our Tier 1. Like whenever you see a dip in or a stagnant trend in your data, you have to start looking at two things, right? You have to start looking at your instruction, and you have to start looking at your curriculum. Curriculum being the first thing. And when we're looking at this, we know we have some instructional shifts to make. We can do that internally. But this is really about, are we presenting kids with material that they are going to then be able to be successful on the state assessments on what it is that the state is expecting them to be able to do. So sometimes you
one
need
is
shifts.
low for your scores from Tier 1, all students, and it's consistency low 2-3 years, which we started to notice that dip, which was why I was screaming from the top of the roof of curriculum, we need to start writing and doing this. We knew that we were going to start plummeting, because when Tier 1, you start to see that dip with Tier 1, meaning everybody. And then you look at students in Tier 1 that are like districts as us, and like we do when we compare DIRGs, we now know we have a problem. And it usually starts with curriculum and instruction and materials, and that's the first place you go to. Then when you start looking at, we can compare, and we do, students, classrooms, teachers, where kids are performing, and then you look from teacher to teacher, and if you start seeing a big discrepancy, then you're providing more resources and supports to how you teach to those teachers. Does that make sense? Okay.
The other thing is that sometimes there's just you're growing out of it. If kids have the same math program from kindergarten to 5th grade, they've had the same instructional strategies, they've had the same games, they've had the same, you grow out just like we did with iReady. iReady served its purpose, but then it didn't anymore. So we had to move on to something else. I mean, it happens with any programming that kids see year after year after year.
It's like that. I think this is so hard when education, and especially with curriculum and instruction, because you can't pinpoint every single solid. It's so hard to learn curriculum and instruction, and I just relate it to the medical model all the time. We're always constantly researching, growing, learning, changing, adapting, and that's what happens in medicine. The same thing happens in education. We're never going to say we are done with curriculum and call it a day, because the next, like Carrie is talking about, is going to happen. So
I assume you have data from other districts that are using these programs and they're being successful there. Okay.
And it's also rated by the state as the most effective math program.
And then my only other concern is that I know we're trying to get conceptual and word problems and everything to, get higher on the scores, but we won't lose some of the basic math, I hope.
The
sometimes that can happen.
The nice thing about all three of these programs, it does take this problem-based approach, but the idea of that is that you're putting students in a real-world problem-based scenario, that they slowly move from that conceptual piece to the more abstract, right? We're not starting with the standard algorithms and the procedures. We're starting with a concept that they can then shift from that to.
And
You know,
do
the
you find
procedural
that's
piece.
accessible to all tier students? I mean, that concept can be hard, I think. So I'm just curious if that's, I mean, I'm assuming you think that's easier to start with and then build from there.
I was actually at a workshop yesterday where we've been actually strengthening Tier 1 quite a bit this year in our K-5 classrooms, aside from keeping bridges. However, I went to a workshop yesterday that was talking all about differentiating the needs for our students and how we often assume as educators that our students need direct instruction and they need this, I do it, you practice it with me, and then you go do it. And you know, our students who need more support, we assume that that's the style of teaching that they need, but they actually need and thrive more in the conceptual understanding first and move to the procedural later, where they can put it into a real world context and hang on to the concepts to have a better understanding.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Matt, I did not see your hand up. Apparently it's been up for a while.
It's fine. This hand didn't need all that blood anyway. I'm just thinking, like, I deal with this in my own job too, and trying to explain it to someone who is not in education is a difficult thing. Education changes, like you said, use the medical example. The easiest way I can do this is when you and I learned math as younger kids, we were primarily taught this is the formula, these are the math facts, memorize them. Kids, what's up? Yeah, wait a minute, now it hurts a little. If I had feelings, I'd be upset right now. But that's how we were taught. We were taught primarily memorize, and that's what we did, and then we would apply that memorization. Kids don't work that way anymore. So now there's a lot of exploratory, having them kind of figure it out on their own first, and then kind of jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of come in and correct the spots that they missed or the errors that they made, because that way kids don't have to remember anything right now. They have this. Okay, I don't even remember my wife's phone number. Don't tell her I said that. Is this on camera? That's just where we're at. So now what we're finding is when we have students explore the concepts on their own independently, even when they get things wrong at first, there is more learning and they remember the skills and they remember how to on their own. Otherwise, what's happening is we're forcing them to remember. They remember, they take a test, they show that they remember, and they do well on the test. And then 6 months from now, when they take a state exam, they don't remember what they learned 6 months ago. So by having them explore on their own and then correcting mistakes that they make, it's actually embedding the information in them as opposed to having them short-term remember through what you and I remembered for years. Kids don't have to remember anymore, so things have to change that way. Is that fair? I'm just trying to for someone who's not in education. I get it. It's a hard concept. Like I couldn't understand half of what your job is. I'm not even sure what it is. I've heard, but
especially if you don't have kids and like you see what's coming home, right? You see what's coming home with your kids. You're like, what the heck? What are they teaching like this? And Selena and I had the conversation about algorithms. That's what we learned. That's what we know. Our kids don't necessarily remember how to divide when they're in algebra if they don't need it. Like they don't remember the algorithm, but we're trying to teach them number sense so they can apply it to the world.
And process.
Yeah.
And process.
Right.
So, and I hope I'm not wrong about everything I just said because I don't want to walk in tomorrow and be told I can't teach math anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. We're trying to create students that can tackle a problem and problem solve together and collaborate. What's happening too that we're finding in higher level classes, we start leveling our students in math and we provide them with a non-routine problem in context, and they struggle to solve that because they can't quickly pull. They're not thinking about what's wrapped up in that problem. They can't quickly pull an equation that matches that problem. So they're really unable to, even in higher levels of math, be able to solve those problems because they're not really thinking. They're good at memorizing. Their strength is working with those numbers, but they're not able to tackle those problems that they're not used to seeing and just problem solve. So. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the structure of all the programs we're looking. We've narrowed this down to 3 programs so far, and they're very similar to one another. So I'll talk a little bit about that. The first one is Open Up Resources, and as I had mentioned before, in our K-5 bridges, we have had some gaps, and we don't feel like students are getting certain topics, skills, concepts to the level that they should be. And so we've already been using Open Up Resources. It's a free resource. It's actually the same publisher that we're using for our Bookworms program. But we've been using a lot of their resources because it's free online to access those lessons. So wherever we've seen gaps, we have our teachers, specifically in grades 3 through 5 this year, trying out some of these lessons. Specifically, we supplemented a ton of our fractions units at grades 3 through 5 because students were not finding success with fractions. It's a very difficult skill and concept for students, and Bridges was not hitting that in the way that we needed it to. So we've been supplementing there. The next program that we're looking at is our Amplify Desmos program, and we are using, the good thing about this, I'll just highlight a couple things about each program that that's a little bit different because they have a lot in common, is that this has an interactive component. So when teachers are presenting the lessons, they can have not just a Google slide presentation up, but they can, manipulate visuals to show students how a certain concept is working. Students can also get online if teachers want to choose to do that, to manipulate themselves so that they can understand a concept, dragging, a dot along a number line to see how that changes what an equation might look like, for example. We are also using this program in grades 6 through 8 right now, so that would have a nice, if the committee decides to go with this program, we'd have a nice alignment for grades K through 8. The other piece of this that the teachers really like so far is that it has a differentiation component that the other programs do not have. So for every tier 1 lesson, there are 3 differentiated lessons that go along with that to meet the needs of different levels, both students who need extra support with that concept and students who need enrichment. The last program, which is probably the most popular out there right now, is Illustrative Math through Kendall Hunt. We are looking at their newer version of this, which is called IM 360. They've really just made some upgrades, and they're shifting their whole program eventually over to the new program. So this one is very similar to the Open Up Resources, and the structure of the lessons is the same. They're both they follow the same illustrative math programming, so very similar to the Open Up Resources. So all 3 of these programs have some similarities. We talked a little bit already, and Matt described very nicely the problem-based approach to learning. So all 3 programs really have that structure and that approach to teaching and learning. They require a deep understanding of mathematical concepts and reasoning versus the procedural skills, the fluency, which is another important piece, but it doesn't start with that. They're all aligned with or certified partners of Illustrative Math, which is being used across the state. There's various different programs. There's one other program that we're not looking at, also that aligns with Illustrative, but it's very costly compared to the ones that we are diving deeper into. They have that same lesson structure, the same scope and sequence throughout the year, the same emphasis on the major work of each grade level. And they're aligned to our Common Core standards, of course. All 3 programs will have the same instructional shift for teachers and the same really I'm going to say receiving of that instruction for students, because they'll be put in that problem-based approach, and teachers will need significant professional development to make that shift in instruction, because that's not how Bridges is really structured right now. So one of the ways that we, other than the piloting and getting feedback from teachers, we'll be doing that. The Amplify Desmos program, we're going to be piloting a full unit for that. The other ones, we're just trying lessons here and there and supplementing into their current curriculum. We are also using an evaluation rubric. So these are the pieces that our rubric looks at. So as we meet with publishers, as teachers are, flipping through the teacher edition and seeing what that looks like, looking at the online components, they're evaluating each of these programs with a rubric that looks at these different areas, which is the alignment to our state curriculum, the model curriculum, the major work of each grade level, the opportunities for differentiation that are provided to teachers and to students, the different assessments that are embedded into each of the programs. Teachers are most interested in looking at those teacher materials and the ease of use of those and how the lessons go. They're very interested in what homework opportunities. I keep getting the question of what's available for homework. looking at the student materials to make sure simple things, even if, is there enough room on the page for students to do their work? We have a component of our rubric that looks at equity, diversity, and access. So are we making sure that the materials are accessible for all students? I'm happy to say that all three of these programs have a UDL, Universal Design for Learning, built in to each of these programs, which provides more access for all students. And then we're looking at the technology components. So 2 of the programs have sort of basic technology that teachers just have access to the online materials, and there's the one that has the more interactive piece, which is the Amplified Desmos program. Okay, so that's an overview of what we're doing from now till the end of the year. Our curriculum department and our K-5 math committee they're very excited. They're working really, really hard, and they're willing to try out. I mean, we had told the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade teachers that are on the committee, you don't have to pilot any of this. We know you're busy with the reading program, and they're just taking it on. They want to try the lessons, which is fair because they want to see how it works with students before they, really kind of overall vote on which program. I would feel comfortable with our committee choosing any of these 3 programs. So any other questions for me at this point? We can update you as we move through the process this year.
I just have one. You're talking to other districts. Are you talking to like end users? Are you talking to teachers? Or are you talking to someone in a similar position that you're in?
A little bit of both, actually. I just sat with a group of teachers and administrators on Monday of this week, yesterday, and they were from Shelton. Talked to them about their use of the program. I just talked to a teacher and a math coach in Berlin who they're using illustrative math. There's various districts. The only program that districts are not currently using that is up here is the Amplified Desmos because it's coming out K-5 brand new, but there are districts using 6-8 Amplified Desmos like we are at our middle school right now. But there are various districts using both Open Up and illustrative math, the Kendall Hunt version, across the state right now. So the other thing we look at is Ed Reports is a resource that really puts teachers in a position to review and evaluate programs at a really deep level, and then we go to that resource and we look at which programs are the most top rated according to teachers. So we're using that as well.
And so you said Open Up Resources was actually free, but that's one of the options. Would you couple that with one of the other 2, or
It's not really free if you're looking to implement it.
Got it. Okay.
for a
The
grade
sample's
level.
free.
It's free if you want to download a lesson.
Oh, okay.
But you can't really download all of the materials and.
Okay.
I mean, we could print all the student pages and it would probably cost more than, to buy the student books is really where you're spending the money, or you want to buy the center kits or things like that. So Open Up is actually a free resource, and so is the Kendall Hunt. They claim that they're free. If you don't want to buy any of the, materials, but teachers want the teacher manual in their hands. And Amplified Desmos is one that we actually would pay for the platform itself because it has that interactive component.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's really interesting, and good luck with your choices. You're the experts. I'm sure you'll make the right decision.
Thanks.
How much is that platform, out of curiosity? The Okay. Thank you. For those
Okay,
not
now we
here,
have a
Mike, she
couple of
said
action
26.
items for our district calendar for this year and next year, so reference E and F in your packets.
Okay, so you will notice that you have another new calendar at your seat that was distributed tonight because we were really trying to figure out, there's 3 things that we're really trying to do, and we just need a little more time with one other thing, so we might be bringing this to you again, which is parent-teacher conferences. It's an ongoing discussion of when is the best time to do them. But as you all know, we're moving into the new middle school, and teachers need time to pack. They'll start getting all their materials by the end of the month. But obviously, their planning time is meant for planning, and their prep time is to meet with others, and so forth. So what I am proposing to do to give some time to teachers to be able to pack their things is to dismiss students on the last 3 days of school. So hopefully if there's no snow, it would really just be 2 extra days because the last day is always a half day anyway. Dismiss students from CMS on June 10 and 11 in addition to June 12th at half day. All CMS staff must be out of the building, cannot enter into the building at all after June 13th. So that's not like they could come back and pack, and that's that day they're done, whatever's, so that's my proposal for this year. And then also for the beginning of the school year, so that affects the 25-26 school year. This is what we'd like to do. The way it works is August, the first 2 days are 20, August, sorry. So what we do usually is have convocation and then go back to the buildings and have professional development. Mandated professional development by the State Department of Education would takes about 6 or 7 hours sometimes. So we give them the first day usually to get all that done, and then we do other professional development that we're doing in regards to what the teachers need to implement. Like, so for example, the math program would most likely be what we do at the school. For CMS, what we're asking is for the first 2 days, it doesn't impact students at all. So I'm going to have convocation, let CMS go back to their buildings and start unpacking and doing what they need to do. They can't get into the building until the week before, and that's if everything goes perfectly. So just to make it presentable for our kids to arrive, I would give them that whole day while everyone else is having PD and doing their mandated PD. The second day, quick faculty meeting, the rest of the day to the staff to unpack and set up their classrooms. So the third day then, they have to make up and do their mandated training. So the third day, we would have students in the morning, release students. Everyone else will be in a full day. This is just for CMS. Wednesday, students would come for a half day. We would release them. Then our teachers would have the mandated training. Thursday, release students half day. Teachers would have the professional development that they missed, and the same thing on Friday. So 3 half days at the end of the year, 1 which is already here, and then 3 at the beginning of the year. And I just need you to approve that, and then we'll come back to you with parent-teacher conferences. It'll be a small change, but we really want to try to get this right.
And it works with busing and everything, those half days?
Yes, and it works beautifully because CHS they take their assessments, and so they have half days anyway, so there's buses coming.
But what about the start?
Yeah, it's perfect.
And
Oh no, the first day it will be the first days it's easy. I'm talking about June. They actually will go home at the same time with the high school kids, so it's actually less runs. Yeah, that'll be fine because they're leaving earlier. Then they'll come back and get CMS, then they'll go and get elementary. So it works out fine.
Matt, saw you this time.
All right, so I just want to make sure that I understand before I ask my second question of the night. For those of you who are counting,
Shoot.
So what we're saying is the first day convocation, CMS teachers you'll do your convocation meeting. They'll go back to CMS. They'll have the whole day to unpack. Then the second day, kind of the same idea. Then you're going to have half days at CMS, essentially the rest of the first week, so that the teachers can then address the PD. The school has to be ready for the kids. The other thing that I'm thinking about here as a teacher is the teachers will be able to get into the building the week before.
Just a week before.
Just a week. But you're also, are there teachers are then volunteering their time. They're not paid to be there for that week. We know that our teachers, many of them are going to voluntarily come in and get set up because they're anxious about the new building in a good way. They're excited to have their students. They want things to be ready. I have no problem with this plan. I know half days can be contentious with some folks. Middle school I feel is a little bit different. If it was elementary, I would probably be balking at this.
Yeah, same thing.
Middle school is a little bit different. I do worry about some of our families who have to support students who have more significant special needs. and what that means for them on those half days. I don't know if there's something that can be found or considered. Just throwing that out there, something to keep in mind, and maybe there's something that that can be done to extend the day, for those students. I don't know, but part of it is out of respect for the fact that I know that a lot of our teachers are going to put in the extra time and volunteer that week beforehand. I feel like it's kind of doing them a solid to do this, and honestly,
I'm pretty nice to teachers. I used to be one.
Honestly, I guess the other side of that is, as a teacher, I know that the first few days, the first 2 or 3 days of the school year, there's a lot of getting to know each other, establishing routines, establishing rules, doing, icebreaker type stuff. That can easily be done in half days at the middle school level. Not so much at the elementary, but that all sounds fine to me, that whole start of the year. So there's my 2 cents.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, I guess that's something to consider. We're just voting on the calendar right now. So who would like to make a motion to approve this year's calendar and next year's calendar? Lori, second. Kelly Cloutier, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. They are both approved.
Thank you.
And moving on to the approval of the minutes and motions from the January 28th regular meeting, reference G in your packets. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes, if you're able to? Catherine, is there a second? Alan, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Kelly, Franklin? All right, motion carries. Minutes are approved. And our minutes and motions from the February 4th special meeting, reference H in your packets. Is there a motion?
I think there might be an error. I don't know how big of a deal it is, but it says that you adjourned the meeting, and I'm pretty sure I adjourned the meeting.
For the special meeting?
For the facilities meeting.
Oh, for the facility. This isn't facilities, though. This is regular. It's a special meeting.
This was
just because we changed the time, I think.
Oh, I have the facilities one down below.
Oh, okay.
Just ignore me. That's what my comment's for.
Okay. So was there a motion to approve reference H, the special meeting? Minutes, Alan, and then Matt. All in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Lori? All right, motion carries. Those are approved. On to item G, stipend approval, reference I. What you have in your packets. Any questions on that? Is there a motion to approve it? Oh, you have a question?
I just noticed it seemed like it's all the lacrosse positions. That just stuck out at me. I was just curious.
Lots of turnover in lacrosse positions?
Yeah. Is there...
Michelle.
What was going on with that?
We just happened to receive resignations for those positions, and so we were able to post them. That's all.
No further explanation. So it is what it is. Would you like to approve it?
I just have a quick question, too.
Go ahead, sure.
As far as these positions, are we receiving a lot of interest in, when they get posted internally, externally? Is there a lot of interest, and are we picking necessarily the best candidates for each position?
Yeah, we do normally get a lot of interest. So many of the stipend majority of the stipend positions is located in our teacher's contract. So when normally we post, like in May, I post the whole contract. And, the most popular ones usually go, when I say popular, the ones that usually go every year usually go first. And there's some people that decide not to come back. They might say, I've done it for several years and I'm not returning. And then we'll repost those positions. So I end up posting positions for stipend positions throughout the whole year. And it could be for various reasons. They could have got a full-time job, because some of these people that were in these positions are not our employees. They're from and what I mean by that, they're from the outside. So they could have got a full-time job, and they were doing this on the side, and maybe they have another commitment. It could be anything. But they do, they're really responsible, and they always give us notice and let us know. That way we can try to post again. And our director of athletics, Josh and Andrew, are excellent, and so is Ann, in trying to find someone to fill the position. And many times we do get internal candidates from the teachers union or internal candidates from the school district.
So is your question, do we prioritize school employees over outside?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, Sal Morello, love him, great guy, but how much does he know about lacrosse? Has he ever played?
Let's try to keep names out of it, though.
That's what we're approving here, right? You know,
Yeah.
and is
I
there
think-
other people that applied for the position that may be more experienced on any of these? Now I'm just picking that one as an example, right?
I know when they interview for candidates, they always pick the best qualified candidate for the position.
They go through a process.
So I do know
Okay.
that, and I know Andrew and Josh are always looking for the best quality coaches for our students.
Again,
That's our
I'm
biggest
just
priority.
picking that one.
Yeah.
Nothing against him particularly. Great guy, don't get me wrong.
But our teachers, it's in their contracts. They do have first rights. So if they have the coaching permit and they have experience, they definitely, yeah, they do. It's in it belongs to their contract. So those stipends are all theirs. So if nobody wants it in that union, then it goes out to the public. Now, if they have someone that has not much experience and they have someone from the outside that has a lot experience, they can interview at that point, and then they'll pick the best qualified candidate. Is there anything that I might have not captured that you want to share? Generalized? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Generally speaking, very few adults want to be coaches. So and you can't blame them, based on a lot of what they have to deal with. So we typically have less than a handful, I would say, of applicants, typically on average. The jobs that you would consider, let's say, a coveted job, a really good job, football, let's use that one for an example. Same thing, less than 6 applicants. So there's just not a lot of applicants out there to pull from. Lacrosse, just to use that sport as an example, is one that there's not a huge pool. So even that one is even less. Tennis, another one, super low applicant pools. It's us reaching out as much as possible. Who do you know? Who can help us here? Again, if you have like a big time job, baseball, something like that, you'll pull a little bit more, but even then you still won't even probably hit 10. Whereas in teaching, very different. The number of applicants is just so much higher. So when it comes to athletics, it's hard. It is very difficult to fill positions, even for Cromwell, being a very desirable location.
I think a very popular site that you could actually go to and look at, and you'll see all those openings for coaches, is the CIAC website. You go on there, there's just so many vacancies with school districts across the state of Connecticut that are looking for coaches. So that's a great place for people to take a look at in case anybody is looking for a coaching position. It's just a huge need across the state. Yeah, it's after school. Weekends.
I totally trust the process. I'm just curious what the process is.
Sounds like Mr. Heisman has just volunteered to be an assistant coach for lacrosse.
I know nothing about it. I'm not qualified for that.
Super quick. But Steve, just a heads up, my son's high school sent an email out to all the parents of the program for lacrosse saying if you're aware of any lacrosse coaches, please refer. I mean, that's unheard of. That's how desperate they are, and our lacrosse programs are fairly new, especially the women's lacrosse. So and we don't have a youth program. And the youth program we used to partner with, lacrosse took a huge hit during COVID, was Rocky Hill, and they now shut their program down. So, I mean, it's great. We still have a lot of people participating in it, but you're getting a level of play that's significantly different than what a lot of coaches are used to seeing.
Okay. Are we good with the stipends? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve them?
I'll make the motion.
Matt? Oh, so Matt first, sorry.
Second.
Kelly, all in favor? Opposed, abstentions, motion carries, stipends are approved. Informational Human Resources Personnel Activity J in your packet. Any questions, comments on that?
Yeah, I just think.
Retirements. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, is that
Sure,
okay?
of course.
We have a couple retirements. We have Fran Allen, who is a math and reading tutor with us since October 2012, 13 years. That's a long time to dedicate her, and she is awesome, to Cromwell Middle School. And we are going to miss her, and we are incredibly grateful for her service. And we wish her well in her retirement. And Michael Ensign, who is our custodian, he's been in Cromwell for 32 years. He's an awesome human being, a really hard worker, and we are really going to miss him. But we wish him so much success, so much happiness in his retirement. He deserves it. Andrew's going to cry. Fran Allen.
Oh, because she's under resignation, not retirement. She retired?
Oh, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a retirement.
Oh, either
Yeah.
way. Okay. Well,
I
we still
I
thank her.
messed up.
It's okay. All right. And we thank them for their service as well. Okay, we'll move on to principal reports, reference K, L, M, and N. Any questions on those? All right, policies, we have none on for second read, none on for first read. Committee reports, policy met tonight. Lori, is there anything you'd like to update us with from tonight's meeting?
Just that Dr. Macri informed us that we're almost completely up to date on for the first time, and on totally up to
Congratulations,
date.
nice work.
Yeah,
To our policy committee. and
so
to
we're all done on
administration.
policy. We're not meeting anymore.
Carrie's like, nope, that is not true. That's not what she said. I don't remember that part.
All right, and then we do have reference O for our facilities, and you had a change to reference O from facilities? Lisa, if you want to note that the adjournment was made by Kelly and not me. Thank you. Topics for future agendas. Before we get to that, I just want to mention you had requested that we could cancel the March 25th meeting.
We don't have anything that's pressing. We've gone through everything. We don't really have a reason to have a meeting. If you'd like to cancel it, it's always on. We have 2 in January, 2 in February, 2 in March because of budget.
Okay, I think that's unanimous. And then facilities was supposed to be that night, but we are good with facilities too, I believe, right, Kelly? Okay.
I heard you were looking for another date.
We canceled it already.
All right, any comments, updates, announcements from board members? I'll go around, start with Matt.
My daughter and I went to the Black History Month showcase here in this building. It was fantastic.
Oh, so you saw all those second graders?
No, I missed
No.
them. We came a little bit towards the second half, but I don't know who it was that was doing the traditional storytelling on stage. That was amazing. That young person, I assume, was a student. Did such an amazing job, had such a great presence. I actually was talking to my 9-year-old daughter about timing when storytelling because the timing was perfect. So that was to me was a highlight, but it was all awesome. All the artwork that was displayed in this room, there was just so much good there, and there was just so many people. I was really impressed to see the turnout. It was a great job.
Thank you for attending. Nice. Ellen, anything? Kelly?
Super brief, just a huge thank you to the PTA for the science fair. It was amazing. And then huge congratulations to everyone that was in the play this weekend. It was every year, I'm like, it's not going to be better than
Did you
last
go to
year.
it?
And it was
Nice.
amazing. Yeah, super great job.
Thank you. Lori, anything?
Yeah, just real quick. So I attended the Cromwell in Berlin. Had the Transition Academy had like a night, information night for families in both towns. So I went to that, and it was good. They had all different agencies there and information for families, and it was good. So
Thank you. Dr. Macri, anything else?
No.
Okay.
I said nothing.
Catherine, nothing? Kelly?
I was just going to say the same thing. Kelly was saying that the high school did amazing on their whole drama production of Addams Family. It was amazing. I don't know how those kids can just stand on stage by themselves, belt it out, and remember every single word. But it was amazing, and I look forward to the middle school play this weekend, the Into the Woods.
All right, thank you. Steve, anything? Okay, then we do have an executive session for the purpose of discussion to review the assistant superintendent position job description. And for that, I'd like to invite in Dr. Macri and Mrs. DeMoro. So is there a motion to go into executive session? By Matt, second by Kelly. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries in executive session at 9 p.m.